I'm Ann Thorntonfield, and I am Chair of the Board of Girl Scouts of Eastern Pennsylvania, for those of you who don't know me. And welcome to Smith Lodge and to our property town meeting. We're going to be having another one of these town meetings on Thursday night to tell you about phase 3 of our property committee's work. Tonight's meeting is being streamed live on the web. And I think this is our first time to do this, right? So welcome to everybody who's on the web. I hope this works out, and hopefully this will be something we can use in the future and eliminate some of the driving that all of us have to do. We're going to try to do this more and more. Tonight, it's my goal to communicate 3 things to you. First, to provide the format for tonight's evening, or for our presentation. Secondly, to give you a brief history of the property committee and the work and how we got to where we are today. And third, to lay the ground rules for our meeting tonight. So in a few minutes, you're going to be hearing and seeing a 1-hour presentation of the master plans for the Girl Scouts of Eastern Pennsylvania camps. In addition to the presentation, we're going to have an hour of questions and answers. And during the presentation itself, we're not going to be taking any questions. So for the first hour of the presentation, you'll have index cards, and if you'll write down your questions, that would be great. And the second hour will be strictly for questions and answers. So please do write down any questions you have during the presentation, and we will get to them. Additionally, we're going to have a texting feature tonight. So when you have questions, you can text them in. And Kathy Pullen's going to tell us a little bit more about the texting. But my understanding is that you can text 66937, and in the message field, you'll type town hall, and then a space, and then the question. Okay, so that was 66937. In the message field, type town hall, a space, and then the question. And I think Kathy will go over this again. But we have the old-fashioned index card, question and answers, and the hands in the air, too. So for many of you, I'm going to go over the timeline now of how we got to today. Many of you know the timeline and know how we got here, but for those of you who don't, I'm going to go over this. First, phase 1. The property committee has been working since July of 2009, 3 years, on establishing a sustainable outdoor model for our outdoor program. This phase included market research, surveys, a demographic study, financial modeling, and camp use analysis. Phase 2, the committee analyzed the properties to see which ones fit our sustainable outdoor model for the outdoor program. Phase 3, which is what you're about to hear about, is the master plan. Since the summer of 2009, the property committee has had 45 meetings and conference calls in length from anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. This group's really been working hard. There have been several subcommittees of the property committee, and they've had 14 meetings and conference calls. 6 full days were spent by the property committee visiting GSEP camp, just our camps. 2 full days were spent by the property committee visiting other camps, camps that we wanted to look at to see how they look, to give us ideas. There have been 2 delegate meetings, which I'm sure many of you all have attended, where we had strategy cafes to discuss and get your input on the property decisions. We've had 5 meetings with our membership, and we've had 3 girl focus groups to get their ideas. In an effort to keep the progress of the camp planning transparent, we're holding these town hall meetings tonight and Thursday night to review the master plan. And the master plan is pending the board approval. The board is meeting in late September, and this same master plan will be presented to the board at that time. Let's see. Our mission is to build girls of courage, confidence, and character to make the world a better place. Our plan is to engage girls through robust outdoor programming and opportunities, which is one powerful way to got to give a huge Girl Scout thank you to the property committee, who have done an awful lot of hard work over the last few years. And I think Kathy's going to introduce these folks, but would you all please stand for me, those of you who are on the property committee or on one of the subcommittees. So thank you all very much for your work. Okay, now it's my pleasure to introduce Kathy Quillen, who's chair of the property committee and a former board member of Girl Scouts of Eastern Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Anna. Kathy Quillen, co-chair of the property committee. Thank you all for attending this presentation tonight. Anne has welcomed you and established the ground rules. I'll be presenting the background information. Natalie Packman, your CEO, will be presenting the outdoor program vision. Marla Conley and Greg Copeland will trade off and walk through our program findings and recommendations for each camp. We will then present the next steps, and Ann Bill will open the floor for questions and answers. The presentation will take no more than an hour, which will leave ample time for questions and answers. So we are excited to have this texting feature tonight, and I want to go over just the instructions one more time because it is something new for all of us. If you're joining us via the web, you can also text in. We also have a microphone located here in the central aisle for questions, for anyone who wants to ask questions. We do have index cards in the back, so if you don't get your questions in tonight, we run out of time, you can write your questions on the index cards and put them in the basket, and we'll be sure and answer those via the website. The texting instructions are as follows. Text to the number 66937, and in the message box, type Town Hall lowercase, followed by a space, and then type your question or comment. We will respond during the Q&A portion of the presentation. We'll take a text question, and we'll take a microphone question as we go through it. Thanks so much. Now we'll start the presentation. Now for the property committee background and what we've been doing over the past year. I will be talking about the role of the property committee, the team, the process direction, and the timeline of events. The role of the property committee is to provide strategic direction and advice to the board and management regarding the short and long-term development, stewardship, and use of leased and owned council properties. This includes, among other things, developing long-range property assessments, utilization and maintenance plan. Working with consistent groups in the most appropriate manner is an important part of the committee's charge. I would like to thank the committee for its hard work and commitment to this phase of the work. The committee is supported by staff. The committee stood, a few of their names here, a lot of them you know, and have been on the committee for a number of years. The committee is supported by staff, Natalie Packman, Shelly and Anthony Payon, as well as a consultant team led by Greg Copeland and Jackie Smoot. The direction of the property committee for this phase of the work was guided by the following requirements as identified earlier in the process. Increase camp capacities, provide multi-purpose sites that support both resident and troop camp, winterize buildings to extend troop season, rearrange, build new facilities to accommodate summer troop camping, recognize and maintain to the extent possible unique environmental qualities. This is what we've been doing over the past year. I'll go through some of these briefly. September and October of 2011, we put out a call for new members. We held interviews and we selected new members. We also had fall delegate meetings. In November of 2011, we met with several conservation groups. We established 3 subcommittees. We established the program subcommittee, which is going to hear a long report from Marla Conley tonight on what the program subcommittee work consisted of. It's chaired by Stacy Rod and Marla Conley. We had a Girls Task Force, which was chaired by Sue Tansitz and Ann Donnelly. We had a group, a task force of competition, chaired by Frankie Aiken, Denise Lozman, and Dennis Bennett. This group was merged with the program subcommittee shortly after they were formed, however. In December and January, we conducted visioning sessions with the girls and started collecting data on each camp, topographical mapping, aerial surveys, etc. In February, we received feedback from our CEO's visits with our membership in the various geographic areas. outlined subcommittee reports and spring delegate meetings were held. In May, we toured camps. We toured capital camps and Cross Valley camps. They were great tours. July and August, we had weekly meetings to refine the master plan and prepare for the presentation. Thanks for your attention, and I'll turn the presentation over to Matt McPacken, CEO, to talk about the future.
Good evening. I'll tell you, it's a beautiful crowd here. It's my pleasure to really talk to you about the vision of our outdoor program and why we're doing this. Later on this evening, you will hear more about the various programs, but the question is, to what end? To what end? Why are we doing this? Well, there are four major reasons. One is for us to maintain our Girl Scout traditions. It is for us to serve girls today and tomorrow with excellence, to inspire new generations of girls, and also to build for sustainability. Thank you. So, when we talk about maintaining Girl Scout traditions, there are a couple of areas that we are really focused on. One is to remember that we are a values-based organization, and our goal will be to continue to deliver the Girl Scout outdoor program through the Girl Scout framework, which is the promise of the law. Of course, our girls, we want them to discover, connect, and take action. We are an outcomes-based organization working with GSLE. We have 15 outcomes of our leadership experience, and we will continue to offer troop camping, day camps, overnight camps, special camp programs, resident camping, and camporee, which is service unit camping. So serving girls today and tomorrow with excellence, we will strive to develop girls as individuals and as team members, to create lifetime bonds and relationships, to provide access to outdoor space and nature. Our goal is to inspire girls to have a greater appreciation and respect for the environment, and also, and most important, is to inspire girls to become stewards of the environment. So, I'm really excited, and when you hear from Marla Connolly, who is the co-chair of the committee, but she was also the chair of the subcommittee when we talk about the program. There's some really great programs that are ahead. One is around wellness and sustainability, and you'll see from Donna some of the plans that support this vision. The arts, we will focus on the arts, crafts, nature and the environment, adventure and water, and STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And so how will we do this? In any big vision, in any big program, because we are building for girls today as well as girls tomorrow, we have to build for sustainability. This is a business, and we still have to be able to maintain all of our investments and make sure that we can continue to serve girls at a high level. So, in building for sustainability, we will narrow our focus to raise our excellence. We will right-size our portfolio of campsites. We will offer multiple options for girls. We will invest in our facilities to retain, and as well as over the next 20 or 30 years to recruit high-quality staff. There will be simultaneity of use of our properties, and we will offer compelling, competitive, and inspiring programs for girls. So now I'd ask Marla if she would come forward and walk us through the programs. Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie. Good evening and welcome. I'm Marla Conley. I'm a member of the Board of Directors. I also sit on our property committee, and I chair the program subcommittee through this process. So I'm going to introduce the subcommittee to you, and then I'm going to talk about the information that we received from a series of surveys we conducted and girl meetings. And then we're going to talk about how we use that information and what we asked Greg and his team to put together to help us implement that on the 4 properties that we're focused on today. This is our program subcommittee. You'll see, as Kathy mentioned, that it includes a number of members of the board and property committee who are all volunteers, as well as staff who specialize in outdoor programming and are familiar with the camp properties. This group met, I would say, an average of twice a month since December. We also visited the camp properties again, and we've really focused on the outdoor programming specifically, and as that applies to all of our properties, although we're really focusing on the camp properties of Shelly Ridge this evening. The pictures that you'll see behind me are of the girls at the girl meetings where they gave feedback. We asked the girls to give us their favorite things, their least favorite things about camp, and also to provide us with some dreams and some brainstorming. We also had blueprints for the girls to draw on, so you'll see a lot of pictures of girls drawing on the blueprints of our camps. For this slide and the next 2, I'm going to go over the main themes that we felt that we got from the surveys. And again, the surveys were not just girls, we also had some adults and staff giving feedback. The biggest one was trees. Girls kept talking about trees. They want to spend more time in the trees. They asked specifically for more tree cover, more tree shade. They want to learn about trees. And we also know that our own Woodhaven tree houses have received awards and been acknowledged as a physical space that really facilitates relationship building. So that was a strength that we wanted to focus on. We're also always focused on communal spaces and relationship building. And we want to offer a wide variety of girl housing. This was something we heard from girls. They want a range. They want everything from primitive to seasonal. We also want to offer more structured support for troop and service unit activities. So you will see on the plans tonight activities that are focused, of course, towards resident camp, but we're also trying to make more facilities available to support troop use. We're, of course, keeping traditional camp activities. And then storage is another issue that came up regularly. And storage needs to occur in a wide variety of ways. We need very specific storage for specific activities, specific sports. We need more storage for the girls in their living spaces, and we need more storage for staff. We're also recommending that the council start providing bus service to our camps. I think it's important to realize we cannot expect every girl to have a car or have access to a car or someone who can take the time to drive her to camp. I think this is an important mission item for us to make Girl Scouting available for every girl, and also to make sure that everyone in our camp council has access to all of our camps. So we envision this being a program that would offer transportation from key points around the council to our various facilities. These are the 4 program themes that we felt that we heard most strongly requested from the girls. So I will say here, I think it was loud and clear that adventure was by far the #1 request we had. And another theme that I hope you see tonight is this idea of a progression, that girls want to feel they're advancing, and we heard that strongly in the adventure component. We have young girls who want to do the high ropes, the climbing, the zip lines that they see older girls doing. And the older girls want some really extreme adventure trips. So obviously we're keeping our Girl Scout safety in mind, but we really want to be able to offer some more sophisticated programs in this area. The other 3 that came up top, I think they're all sort of common sense Girl Scout themes. They are water, animals and horses, and environmental learning and nature. We also heard that girls want both breadth and depth. And like good Girl Scouts, they want to control themselves how much breadth and how much depth, and in what areas. So our recommendation is that we develop a primary theme for each camp, and that we really focus on that theme, and that the camp will offer a program in that theme that is competitive nationally. Now, that is not intended to limit the other programs that would be available in these camps. So we know we need a wide range of secondary programs, and we propose to continue offering those at different camps. You'll see as we get more into the detail that we are trying to emphasize certain secondary programs that might be larger, but we are not intending to exclude any programs, even though we have these primary focuses. Of course, we have the progression theme here, that we're trying to increase the skill building and the challenge as girls move through our programs. And then the last two items on this slide, these are themes that I would say came through in girl requests, but are also really areas where the program subcommittee feels our mission requires us to emphasize our programs. And those are STEM. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And then the second one would be physical activities and sports. And we did get a lot of requests from girls in these areas, but girls tended to request them very specifically. So they would ask us to provide a specific sport, but between the group of girls, we would have both sports covered. Or they would ask us to offer one particular engineering component, always with a practical application. So I really hope that as we're going through this presentation tonight, you will see these two themes on the bottom and our four primary themes reflected across our council properties. And I'm really excited to hear what ways you think we can better apply these program themes to our specific properties. I want to give you an idea of the process we followed and the detail that follows up behind everything that we're presenting this evening. So this is a portion of a very large Excel spreadsheet that we put together to track all the detail. This is the portion that talks about the main themes. So we have our four main girl requested themes and then our two overlapping themes. We applied them to each of our properties. Here you see the breakdown for the four we're focusing on tonight. Those are the 3 camp properties and then Shelly Ridge where you are now. The color code is green, means it is a primary focus. We are really going to focus on that and offer a range of activities within that focus at that camp. Yellow means that it's intended to be a strong secondary program at that camp. Once we put together our spreadsheet, we went through each facility, each location, wrote down what we already have there, and then we determined how we want to supplement it to match what the program themes we're recommending. So for example, you will see on the horses line, we currently offer horses at 2 of our facilities. We are proposing to maintain those programs, and we have also asked at Laughing Waters to set aside enough land to provide for a future program, although we don't see that as one of our first items of investment because it's so expensive. But we wanted to set that land aside. And you will also see it's grayed out in the 2 areas where we're not offering that program. Each of those little squares that's on the previous slide, there's also a further breakdown in the spreadsheet. So for example, this is the sports detail for Camp Laughing Waters. When we get to Camp Laughing Waters, you will see that the emphasis is physical activity and a wide range of sports. So we listed, as a committee, every sport we could possibly think of. We went through some of them, decided they were not appropriate for Girl Scouts or would not be allowed by our liability coverage. And then we went through and decided which of the sports needed to go in which type of facility so that we can figure out what we need to build and what kind of space we need to add. So now I'm going to go through each of the camps, and I'm going to start by giving a description of the primary themes we will apply and what we asked Greg to put together. And then Greg is going to join me and we're going to swap off, and then Greg is going to take the majority of the presentation and go through the proposed master plans, which are also available on these panels physically in the room. Camp Laughing Waters, we proposed that the primary themes will be wellness and sustainability. And these are 2 things that we thought had components that really fit well at Laughing Waters. So for each of these 4 items, there's a slide dedicated to that topic, and I'll go through them one by one. The first and the strongest component is this physical health program, where we would emphasize, again, a wide variety of field sports. We have a lot of open field space at Laughing Waters that we're not really taking advantage of. Of course, we'll keep the horseback program, and you'll see that there's land set aside for a future expansion on the plan. We propose to add a multi-purpose gym facility, and this would be to house some of the indoor sports and also give the girls a place in the pool to cool off. And then we're talking about wrapping nutrition and medical care. That, of course, allows us to emphasize the STEM component. It also works into the physical health. And this ties in as well to the animal programs that the girls were specifically requesting. We're also proposing to add an agriculture and farming program. And I think you'll see as you look through the plans that Laughing Waters includes some of the broadest changes, and it's because of the sweeping spaces we have there. So here we indoor and outdoor, also having a sustainable farming focus and focusing on humane animal care. And we propose to add to the horses that we already have farm animals. We also really like to focus on preservation of the environment. And in Laughing Waters, we have a lot of opportunity for reforestation and for learning about plant life. And here we see the girls being very involved. I think there are a number of opportunities for silver and gold award projects here as we learn how to work with that land and how to bring it back into maintenance. And the emotional health piece, I think, ties in very well with that physical health component. Of course, we want to emphasize physical activity in sports, but we all know there are some negative consequences that can come from the pressures of being involved in sports. We really want to emphasize the emotional wellness component of keeping yourself healthy and what you need to do to become a strong leader. And with that, I'll turn it over to Greg, who will talk about how we're implementing that.
Before we begin, there are a couple of points that I think will help as you view the slides. As you look at the master plan for Laughing Waters, the buildings in red represent new construction. The buildings in yellow or in orange represent renovated structures, and the buildings in yellow represent existing buildings to be maintained. The other colors, the dark green, are trees, and then the light green are meadows or open fields, and then blue is water. And that'll be consistent with all the plans as you move through them. The second element, in the time that we have, we can't go through every single detail of every single plan, so I wanted to touch base on some things we won't be talking about that are common to all the plans. First of all, there's new housing, new year-round housing at each one of the camps. There's expanded and new programs at each of the camps that we will talk about. There will be year-round staff houses for program people on site on all of the sites. And there'll be certainly maintenance and storage support that we've talked about that a number of girls have identified as one of the needs. So let's look at Laughing Waters. When we look at Laughing Waters, it's our largest site. It's over 498 acres in size. It's central to the jurisdiction. It currently serves troop and resident camping, but it has the potential to serve a number or a multitude of outdoor program centers or outdoor program opportunities, which can be worked together simultaneously or can be done on an independent basis. So this is by far the biggest level of development that we're looking at for any of the properties. As we look at the overall development areas or land use plan, there are a number of different things that this begins to reflect. First, it reflects the diversity of the overall program vision. Second, we believe it creates opportunities for partnering with the community and with organizations of interest, such as universities, arts and science institutions, as well as the neighboring towns and villages. The major areas that we will discuss are the community fields, main camp, the tent and primitive area, day use, the aquatics, play, and sports area, treehouse units, health and wellness, and the equestrian area. So let's look at main camp. Basically what we're looking at, first of all, is the development of a new entry road from the north into a new central arrival and parking area. This commons will really serve as the center or heart for the overall development of resident camp. In terms of improvements, it includes the renovation of the existing maintenance center into the new office, the development of a new large dining hall that would be designed to serve the ultimate capacity for camp, the renovation of the existing dining hall into the arts center, a new wellness center, and the replacement of the 2 tent units in this area with 6 year-round cabin units in addition to Lackawanna and Kirkland. The tent and trailer area, or the tent area basically is that we're existing tent platform sites, Allegheny, Brandywine, Conewago, and Pennypack, and that we're also going to maintain at least 3 of the primitive units. The treehouse units really got generated out of, as flat as we sometimes think Laughing Waters is, we actually found some hills. So along the creek's edge, we felt there was a great opportunity on the eastern side of the creek to create 6 treehouse village units that would include 2 units per village, or 4 units per village, and would provide a completely different type of camping opportunity, both for troops and both for summer campers. As we look at the program elements, when we look at performing and creative arts, first of all, as we already said, we'll renovate the existing dining hall to serve as a creative arts center. And then we're looking at the development of a new multi-purpose center that will be year-round that will include indoor space that will be approximately the size of a junior high gymnasium with a series of classrooms wrapping the building. And on the outside, will include both an indoor and outdoor stage and amphitheater, and then ample opportunities or areas outside the building for a variety of different kinds of program activities. As we look at the aquatics area and sports, there's a number of basic improvements that we're looking at here as well. First of all, with aquatics, we'll be expanding the deck of the existing pool, providing some inside grass area, a spray park, and then shade pavilions. We've also proposed a new playground adjacent to the pool. And then in the sports area will be a series of activity areas for soccer, softball, basketball, and then 2 multi-purpose activity courts that could provide space for tennis, for badminton, for volleyball, and for a number of board games. Then we look at adventure skills, and what we've done is provide actually 2 areas across from one another on the creek that would include an alpine tower, a climbing tower, a zip line, and then a series of low ropes or low initiative elements. With health and wellness, this will be a completely new center that ties directly into the program vision. The idea being that we would create basically a new center in an open field that's adjacent to where the existing equestrian center is. And that would include a series of buildings. First, the central building would include a teaching kitchen, a dining area, and a series of classrooms, all devoted to health and wellness. There would also be a greenhouse, a recycling center, a farmstead with farm animals, and then a series of organic garden plots and orchards. Then the equestrian center will basically be headquartered where it currently is, but we're proposing a new stables and classroom building, new rings, and then the long-term development of a horse trail that could literally encompass the entire site. We believe as the community grows that there could be potential for a day use area that would support up to 200 campers with 4 activity hubs and a welcome center. And then lastly, we've identified the fields near the proposed new entrance to camp as a potential community field area. This would be a cooperative venture with the local community to provide sports fields that could range from soccer and football and baseball and softball, and then the adjacent facilities in terms of restroom, canteen, picnic and shade shelters, as well as parking. I think you can see by what we've outlined that it's a very broad and extensive proposal. And I think most significantly, we're looking at an increase in year-round troop capacity from 9 troops to 29 troops that will be able to camp here.
All right, so we're moving on to Camp Woodhaven. For Camp Woodhaven, the program subcommittee recommends a focus on crafts and environmental learning. And again, I'll go through each of these items on the next slides. On the craft area, we're focused on a couple of specific items that will require
Woodhaven is a 286-acre site. As you can see, it's predominantly woodland with open meadows at the front of the property. It currently serves as a troop in a resident camp. We believe in the future it has the potential for resident, troop, and troop with core staff. It's important to note here we're not making dramatic changes to Woodhaven. Our focus is really on adding year-round housing and adding year-round program activity areas, which really don't exist right now. As we look at main camp, the items that we're looking at are the development of a new office and health center, renovation of the dining hall, and development of a new staff house for up to 10 people. We've also looked at realigning the circulation to provide parking closer in and separate staff parking. The real important addition is the new crafts building, which is at the edge of the meadow. And it will include both a series of indoor activity areas for arts and crafts, for nature crafts, for a variety of different kinds of crafts, and again, also function on the outside. It also has a stage that can serve as an outdoor classroom with an amphitheater. As we look at the aquatics, nature, and sports area, there's some improvements that we're making there as well. The first is that we're converting the Cutsine Troop Cabin into the year-round nature center. That will end up including a series of indoor and outdoor display areas and activity stations. It will also serve as the trailhead for a site-wide nature trail that will traverse throughout the entire piece of property. In terms of the existing swimming pool, we're looking at adding more interior space for the pool itself, a new bathhouse, and then a covered shade shelter or pavilion. We're also showing a multi-purpose activity court in this area to go with the existing field and then the existing pavilion. And in terms of camper housing, our primary focus is in replacing the tent unit at Robbins Inn with 3 new year-round cabins. Each of these cabins could support 20 campers. And then we're maintaining the remainder of the seasonal tent camping units and adding a new bath and shower house. With the Treehouse Village, we're basically completing what was originally on the master plan, which was to add a second treehouse unit and then a restroom unit as well. And then, as already mentioned, we're maintaining the existing horseback program. So here again, you're seeing a major focus around enhanced program activities, enhanced year-round troop camping, and the ability to increase the year-round capacity from 3 troops to 5 troops.
For Camp Moseywood, the program subcommittee is recommending a focus of adventure and water. And I think these are probably honestly already a focus of Moseywood, so we are looking to expand and enhance what's already there in these areas. In the water area in particular, we need to add some equipment, we need to fix up some old boats, probably add new boats. We're looking to add storage for those boats as well as for all the equipment that goes with them. We'd like to see an enhanced swimming program with a real progression of skill sets. We're also proposing to actually add some elements to the lake, including a water slide and some more inflatable items. We'd also really like to ramp up the adventure component at Moseywood. We have proposed to include a number of tree climbing activities, including high ropes through the trees and dueling zip lines. Dueling zip lines in particular were something a lot of girls asked for. We're also proposing, again, a multi-purpose gym facility to house those indoor activities.
As we look at Moseywood, it's a 425-acre site. It's almost completely wooded except for the lake. There's very little open field or open area. And we really want to preserve it in that way. It currently serves as a resident of troop camp, and we see its future is going to continue as a resident of troop camp. Here as well, we're not making dramatic changes to the existing plan. Our focus is year-round housing, enhanced program activities, and improved circulation and parking. As we look at the entry and arrival, the biggest thing that we looked at is realigning the entire parking arrival process in terms of arrival loop, drop-off, and parking, and then providing a separate area for staff. As we then look at the main camp area, there's a number of improvements that we're looking at there as well. A new office and health center, a new staff housing building that will house up to 10 people, and then a new multi-purpose activity center that would be similar in nature to the one that we described for Laughing Waters. We've also identified that as the program grows and capacity grows, that we look at an addition to the dining hall in terms of additional dining space. The seasonal tent unit area, basically we're preserving it as is. We're not replacing any of those existing tent units. What we are looking at doing is realigning them in such a way that by adding a second unit shelter that actually we can get 2 small troops into one of these villages as opposed to just one. So it's one of the ways that we can increase usage during seasonal camp. The other factor that we're looking at is the creation of 5 troop lodges / pavilions that in the summer will function as activity spaces within the village. And then during the school season, we'll provide winterized troop camping space, again for approximately 20 campers in each space. We're also looking at a village right at the edge of the lake. This village would end up including 3 cabins and then a central lodge with restrooms, all attached on decks, and then with its own separate waterfront area. And then lastly, on the east side, we're looking at 2 additional year-round camping units that could actually support up to 4 troops. That is, as already mentioned, the focus on the waterfront really means expanding activities along the water in terms of expansion of boating and swimming, a slide, and then a variety of other kinds of play features that can exist during the summer. With the adventure centers, we said we're looking at a dual zip line that would go over the lake, an alpine tower, a climbing tower, an indoor archery range, and then a very extensive ropes course that would be up into the trees. So, again, you can see what the overall focus has been, and I think what's most significant here is that we will increase the number of troops for winterized camping from 4 troops to 14.
This property, the Shelly Ridge property, is the last one we're going to cover in detail tonight. And the program subcommittee did recommend significant additions to this current property. In particular, we're recommending a new STEM facility that would be added to this lodge that would have lab and class space that we would develop in cooperation with educational and industry partners. We're suggesting including the nutrition program as well here, and that the Shelly Ridge property could really be an introduction for our partners to the GSCP programs. We suggest turning this into an almost sampler facility that offers an introductory piece of all the programs that we discussed tonight, but that really emphasizes the STEM component and all of the technical pieces that go along with providing that program. The idea is that we're in an ideal location here for people who first experience GSCP programs. We also have the ACE Convention Center across the street where people might be drawn in. And the idea would be that once they experience that more traditional educational component, that the whole plan through the property leads them to a progressively outdoor experience. In order to provide these more technical programs, we expect to increase our existing relationships and to reach out for new partnerships. Again, we have a lot of opportunities for educational partnerships in the area and also with partnerships in industry, both for potential funding and to help us develop some really sophisticated programs that can be a career path for our girls. And this is really on the sampler site theme, this idea that you would perhaps come to the Shelly Ridge facility for a meeting or to engage in a STEM program, and then you would be led down the path to our other activities. You might experience some low ropes here or do some other environmental learning programs, and that this would be a way to encourage people to lead to a more outdoor experience. And then, of course, again, we're also talking about the Shelly Ridge facility being a great place to support troop and service unit use. Again, through potentially increased volunteer opportunities for training and working with those educational partners.
With Shelly Ridge, the overall, I don't think most people are aware of this, but the overall property is actually 113 acres in size. It currently serves as a day camp and very limited troop camping. But as already mentioned, we see tremendous future for this site for both day use, troop use, trainings, and then all of the opportunities associated with the STEM Center. I think most of us, when we come here, we either think of the headquarters or we think of this building. The reality is there's over 100 acres of stream valley directly behind us that runs the entire length of the property. And we want to take advantage of this resource. So what we're looking at is the development of two major year-round camping units. Each of the units would include 4 cabins and then a central activity center and leader lounge, so that we would have 2 of these units, and these 2 units could end up supporting up to 8 troops and over 144 people. So basically, we're creating a small camp. As we look at the main camp area, there are a number of improvements that we're doing here as well, including a new day camp office, reorganization of arrival and parking, and then the development of a series of major facilities in conjunction with Smith Lodge. A new dining hall, and then a new STEM center with the activity spaces and the classrooms that would be associated with this overall development. As we look at the day program, it would continue, and we've developed 4 activity hubs in the woods instead of along the road that could serve between 160 and 200 day campers. And then from a program standpoint, as discussed, the focus here is really on introduction. So there'd be a wide range of introductory activities, including the pool, spray park, playground, low ropes, an amphitheater, a tent unit, and then a series of trails and stations throughout the woodland. Here, as we said, the real significance is that we're going to go from 2 troops to over 10 troops per night in terms of availability for this site.
So let's talk about the next steps. This presentation will be presented to the board on September the 27th of 2012, just in a few weeks. Delegate meetings will be held in October of 2012, and the property committee will continue its work and kick off the implementation phase, where a phasing schedule will be developed and development plans will be refined.